it's Lee from coloringqueen.net, and today I thought we'd have a colour and chat, bit of a catch up, and I'm going to colour in Eriy's colouring book. It's the new one, Fairy Tales from Around the World, and I'll be using my Prismacolor pencils. I'll pop the pencils below that I've used in this video, and I will be doing some off screen, and this will probably be a two-part video, and I'll come back before the end of the month and do the second part. So this is for my Fairy Tales in February colour along that's on Instagram at the moment, and if you haven't joined in and you want to, there's still time to do that before the end of February. So I think I'll just be doing this one picture for this month. I did start a couple and I really didn't like how they turned out, so I only half done them and decided to move on to Cinderella here. So I'm going to do Cinderella in a blue dress with blonde hair, so we'll see how it turns out. Anyway, some of you may have noticed that I haven't uploaded any videos on YouTube for a couple of weeks, and I want to tell you why that is, and also tell you about a new addition to the family that we've got. But first of all, I hope that you are having a wonderful day and that where you are in the world, life is treating you good. It's so hard at the moment and there's so many things going on in the world. It just can be really difficult. And at the moment, Millie's put on Eriy. She's a funny little girl. And so if you hear any noises in the background, Millie is playing on the computer. So who knows what we're going to end up with. So first up, the reason that I haven't been on... the reason that I haven't been on YouTube for a couple of weeks is there's actually a lot of reasons. So first of all, I have actually been a bit sick, so I'll tell you about that later. But first of all, I'll tell you about our good news. After applying for a dog for 30 odd times, I finally came across this border collie that looked at me so cute with its big beautiful soulful eyes, and I applied for him, and we were lucky enough to actually be accepted for a trial for him. And because he was untested with cats, it was a real sort of issue getting him in a comfortable stage with Millie, because Millie, is not used to big dogs like a border collie. And I'll put a picture up here for you to have a look at him. His name when we got him on trial was Alan, but it is now Buddy. And he is just the most beautiful dog going. He's got his own Instagram, which I'll put below if you want to follow him. He posts every day. He's very good with his Insta. And he is just divine. But it's a bit of an unusual story. Like most rescue dogs have come from a really bad environment. But this one was a bit of an unusual story. So first up, the rescue group that we got him from had never actually met him, so they didn't know what type of dog he was, and they'd never actually met the parents either, because it was an unusual situation. He was being surrendered, not because they couldn't look after him or didn't want him, but because they were moving to Sweden. And unfortunately, or fortunately for us, I don't know, Alan, or Buddy as he now is, has epilepsy, and although they have another dog, a big husky, that they're taking to Sweden with them, they couldn't take our dog because he wouldn't medically be okay for the journey and the quarantine at the other end because of his epilepsy. So we were lucky enough to be selected to have him on trial. So it's a really odd situation because he started life as a puppy according to his, what we call their Swazi parents, because she's Swedish and he's an Aussie. So, and they are absolutely lovely and absolutely heartbroken to let him go. And they actually was sort of drunk one night on Facebook, and they found these puppies for sale in the small town that they were from on Facebook, which it must have been, a while ago, or a quick ad, because you can't sell puppies on Facebook. And they thought, oh, well, we'll just go around and have a look and see what they're like in their drunken state. And when they got there to this house, apparently it was really in disrepair, and the people had starved the puppies, and there was only one puppy left, which was our guy, and he wasn't in good health, and they hadn't been looked after, and they'd gone there as a bit of a joke. But when they seen him, they thought, we can't leave him here. So even though they weren't in the market for a puppy, they actually got him and brought him home, and he grew up with their husky dog, and he grew up with a newborn baby, and he is the most gentle, sweet, loving dog going. It was a week that we had him, and finally heard him bark. He never barks. He's just so beautiful. And of course, for the first week, he really missed his parents. So every time from the balcony, he could see a lady walking a pram or something like that, or a guy with a ute. He missed his mum and dad. And, that's understandable. And of course, because he's epileptic, in the first week that he was here, he had 2 seizures within 24 hours, a cluster seizure. And I'm used to epilepsy in dogs and humans, so, I was obviously able to be there and comfort him for that. But he goes a little bit crazy after his seizures, and he sort of wrecks the whole house. So that's been a bit of a learning curve, because I needed to know that Millie would be safe if I was out. So because he's not himself after a seizure, I really have to lock Millie in somewhere to protect her, because he goes from a really sweet, gentle giant to just a little bit hungry and really keen on getting things. And because he's in that post-seizure state, he doesn't listen to commands. So even if I was here, he wouldn't take any notice of any commands. So making the house safe for Millie and for him and Millie to get along has been the real priority for 2 weeks now. So I've done some really gradual sort of behavioural therapy with them. And for those that don't know, I do have a psychology degree, so I dusted it off and gave it a big blow on it, and tried to remember some of that ancient knowledge, because I don't really use it that much, and used a few behavioural techniques to get them closer towards one another. And when I felt that they were definitely going to be friends, that's when we decided that we would adopt Alan, or we call him Buddy. So the owners came down from their country town, and they met with us and the rescue lady for the very first time the day that the trial started. And they are absolutely lovely, and just so heartbroken that because of his epilepsy, they can't take both of the dogs with them. And so I suggested the Instagram account so that they could follow him and see that he's having a good life and that he's well loved and getting all his needs taken care of. And, they're just so happy about that, because they can see that he is loved, and we adore him. We fell in love with him at first sight, and he is just such a joy to be around. The thing is, he reminds us of our 3 other dogs. We had the mum, the dad, and the baby, who passed away last May, and so we've been without a dog ever since. And his personality seems to be like the soulful eyes that our last dog had, together with the appetite of the second one and the epilepsy of the first one, and all their little quirks rolled into the one giant dog. So I don't know, it's really funny, because people always say, oh, the right one will come along. And, I used to say that to people too about things. But when you apply for 30, you just get so disheartened that your day is never going to come. And so, I'd just virtually given up when I seen him, and I thought, oh, well, I'll just apply. And it just worked out really well. And as I said, they came down here and they dropped him off. And not only did they drop him off, but they also brought all his toys, his food, his collars, like he's got a light up collar. He's got this giant cane basket that's super expensive that he used to actually share with his husky dog. And yeah, they just gave us all of these things, which was super nice of them. And today, our neighbours over the road came over and bought him squeaky toys and food and all sorts. So everyone just loves him. He's that sort of dog. He's just like a real goofball, and he's just so sweet and gentle, and he's such a lovely dog, and he knows some of his commands. I've been working with him to improve some of his other commands, but you know, I'm really happy with the way he settled in. I expected the seizures, and so, but it's just been hard getting he and Millie to know each other. So that's one of the big reasons why I haven't uploaded to YouTube, is because part of him getting to know Millie is sort of separating them. So if I'm in with Millie, he's whimpering outside of the baby gate that we've got up. And so I can't do any audio until David gets home. And then when David's got home to take over, I don't have enough time to get everything together that I need to, because David's often doing other work and he's been working late on other things. So it just hasn't worked out that I can't film. So I've done things on my blog, as I said, and I've done other things, but most people don't see the behind the scenes stuff that I do, and the updating on the Who's Who directory, and making all those graphics for the extra 50 odd quotes that I put in, and making the videos for the colour along for last month's Joanna January, and working on some other things that I'm doing as well. So it might not look like I'm doing anything in the colouring community, but I actually am. So there's that. And so yeah, what else happened? The other thing that's been going on is I have been absolutely rapt that we have got a dog, but I've also been a bit, worried that him and Millie wouldn't get along and we'd have to give him up, and I didn't want to get too attached until I knew that everything was going to be okay, because, there's been so much disappointment and whatnot. And so then, how life is funny. I've been unemployed for over 2 years now, which is the first time ever in my life, and I've been turned down for so many jobs and whatnot. And the really weird thing is, I've gotten super depressed about it, because I'm actually really quite qualified and I'm really quite skilled and experienced. And those sorts of things seem to be meaningless in this state, or it just seems to be hard for me to get a job. I don't know what it is. But, I've gotten a little bit down about it, and I'm, trying to look on the bright side and, look at other things and look at things in a different way. But when I'm a little bit miserable, I don't like to share that with other people, because everyone's got their own problems and you don't need to hear about my misery. It doesn't do anyone any good. But the really weird thing is that I used to have quite a high-paying job in Sydney, and in actual fact, I earned more than David. I've always earned more than David, except for now, of course, because I don't earn anything. But funnily enough, I got a text the other day from my old work, and they wanted me to work, 1 day a week in Sydney. And, it's the first job offer I've had for 2 years. So I was like, how can I make this happen? Should I, fly down? And if it was like 2 days work or 3 days work, it would be worth it for me, because the hourly rate is quite high, and I could fly down, stay at David's mum's, and then fly back to Brisbane. But because it was only 1 day's work, it's actually, I'd lose money going down if I flew down from Brisbane and flew back to Sydney. And the other thing, of course, is the quarantine. The borders keep closing and reopening all over Australia, and so I might end up stuck in Sydney. And there's nowhere for me to stay at David's mum's. They've only got a 2-bedroom house, and his brother still lives at home, so I'd have to stay in sort of the lounge room type thing. And so there's nowhere sort of, that I wouldn't be a nuisance to stay. So even if they'd given me 2 days work, I don't know that it'd be financially worth it. But anyway, that was kind of it was good, but it was kind of a little bit depressing that the only job offer that I get is one that I didn't expect and in another state. But anyway, that's the way life is. And so anyway, that happened. And the other reason that I have been off YouTube is I haven't been that well. One of the great things about Buddy, our new border collie, is that he loves to exercise. So I've been taking him out for a walk in the morning, which actually gets me outside because I tend to be a shut-in if I've got no reason to go outside, and I just sit and mope basically sometimes. I don't. Sometimes I do. But I found it hard since Charlie, our little dog, died to go for walks around the neighbourhood anymore, because that's what I used to take him on, and I've just found that, quite depressing. It's got me down. So in the end, I just didn't do it anymore and didn't take myself for walks. So having Buddy has been really good because you have to take him for a walk. He's a border collie. He's got to be exercised for hours a day. And so when I was taking him for a walk last week, there were 3 quite big dogs on one side of the road, 2 quite big dogs in front of me and 1 behind me, and he wants to be friends with everyone, so he pulled really hard on his lead, and I was giving him the leave it command, and that only worked so far, and none of the other dog owners were able to give their dogs any commands to sort of stay. And so he was pulling and they were all pulling. And anyway, I got him to leave the other ones alone. He wanted to make friends, but he was really pulling, and he's like 22 kilos and I'm 5'2". And I had him on the lead in my non-dominant hand because my right hand, which is dominant, the wrist is a bit dodgy. So I had my bad hand, or the not as strong hand, leading him. And anyway, he sort of pulled on my shoulder and my wrist and my back. And so I've had some pretty bad pain from that. And I've had to take a few painkillers and whatnot, which has made it hard to sit down and all the rest of it. And then I just sort of got over that, and we took him to the pet shop the other day, a couple of days ago, and we got him fitted for a harness. And just when we were leaving, he seen another dog that he wanted to play with, and again I had him in the same non-dominant hand, and he pulled on the harness, which funnily enough was the no pulling harness, but we hadn't got that on him. He was still on his collar and lead, and that's what we were buying for him. And anyway, he pulled on it and my shoulder went out again, and I've been in a bit of pain. And so just to add to that misery, I thought I'll just have a bit of a snack before lunch, and, I'll eat some of these nuts. And I ate these nuts while I had ice packs all over my wrist and my shoulder and my back. So anyway, I'm eating away on these nuts, munching, because I was so hungry, and we hadn't had lunch and all the rest of it. Anyway, so garbage guts me, eats them all up. And within like half an hour, I'm doubled up in pain and in absolutely agony from like my back, my shoulder, my wrist, and now my stomach, because I get diverticulitis. And even though doctors say there's no link between eating nuts and diverticulitis flare-ups, trust me, there is, because every time I eat nuts just on their own without being in like a biscuit or with some sort of carrier, I tend to get a really bad flare-up. And oh my God, this went for 6 hours and I was doubled up in pain, couldn't get comfortable because of my back and shoulder, but then the stomach's going as well. And I was just a mess, you know, just so sick, and just at one stage I just wanted to curl up and die. It was just like, seriously, can anything else go wrong? And so that was like 6 hours of pain. And then I'm still in the sort of diverticulitis recovery stage, so I'm still quite sore. My abdomen's very sore, and my back and my shoulder are very sore, and David's had to take Buddy for a walk, and we've got the new harness on him now, so he won't pull and won't hurt me. But yeah, David's going to have to take him for a couple of days, because now with this diverticulitis flare-up, I think I'm just too sore to go for an hour-long walk. I'm just in a lot of pain. So yeah, hopefully next week is going to be better. But yeah, that's the reasons why I haven't uploaded any videos. It's been just really hard and awkward for the last couple of weeks, but definitely worth it to get this boy settled in and get him happy, and get Millie and him used to each other, and make sure that she's not going to be hurt, and that they're going to be great friends. And you know, they might not fall in love with each other and all the rest of it, but as long as they're great friends and company for each other, and they get on well and they don't hurt each other, that's the main thing for us. So I'm really happy with their progress, and I'm really happy that we found him, because he is such a joy. And the rescue group that we worked with are just so fantastic. You know, they ring all the time to make sure that we don't have any issues, or that we're settled, or if we need help with anything. And his owners, because they're still in Australia, they're going to travel around a bit before they go to Sweden. You know, I can text them if I need to, but they're just happy to look at Instagram. And just the loveliest people. I mean, other than the time from when he was born and a puppy, where he wasn't cared for that well, and his Swazi owners, as I call them, had to really step up and get him a lot of treatment and get him back on to good health. He's just had the best life, because they just loved him to bits and pieces. And you know, there were tears when they left, and just such lovely people. And I'm so glad that we met them, and that they came down to drop him off. And I'm just so glad that we've got him. He is just so beautiful. But anyway, Buddy, and his real name was Alan, by the way, which, although, you know, not too keen on it, it was Alan Border Collie. So Alan Border, for those of you that don't follow cricket, was an Australian cricketer back in, like, I think the 70s or 80s. So I think they're cricket fans, which we're not. But also our next door neighbour's name is Alan. And so whenever I was saying, come on, Alan, get the ball, it kind of felt weird when the next door neighbour was in his front lawn looking up, wondering if I was talking to him or not. So we changed his name to Buddy, because the owners used to call him Buddy as well. And the reason that his Instagram is the name it was his owners that used to call him Pud as a nickname, and so we called it Pud's Diary. So there you go. So not overly original on the name. When we were looking for a dog, we were hoping to name it something like Cooper from Big Bang Theory, because we're such fans, or Sheldon or something like that. But you know, when we looked at Buddy, he just wasn't a Cooper. He wasn't an Alan to us. So yeah, he's definitely a buddy, and he's been the best buddy to us so far. And he is getting to be the best buddy to Millie. They're in that comfortable relationship at the moment where they know each other exists and they're not hurting each other. So that's all good. And hopefully they'll be best buddies in the future. So yeah, that's what we've been doing, and that's why I've been absent. But this week, I do have several videos that are going out, and they're videos that do take me a long time to do. You might not sort of realise that from just watching them, but they actually do take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work to actually do. So I've been working on those as well, and they'll go out this week, as well as I'm hoping to finish this picture by the end of the month, because it is for my colour along. So hopefully I'll get it all finished and can get that uploaded by the end of next week as well, and finish out the month. So I don't know, these months just seem to fly by for me, and I know for some people it just goes so slow. Like when David comes home from work, he says, oh, it went so slow, and I think, oh, the day went so fast for me. And I don't know why. Like, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I still never get everything done. There still always seems to be so many things on my to-do list, or so many things that I haven't got to, even after a year. And some of my books I still haven't reviewed after having them for like 4 years. They just never make it to the top of my list. And I keep looking at my list going, how can I make this, better to get through it all? But I really don't know the answer. It just seems to happen that way. And I think a lot of it is Parkinson's law, like you expand the task to fit the time, or what is it again? I've forgotten. You take the time for the task. Oh gosh, I've forgotten. Anyway, Parkinson's law, you can look it up, but when you've got little time, you tend to get more things done. So I know when I was working 2 jobs and had this channel, I actually got more videos uploaded. They weren't very good, but I got more done. So I don't know if not having a job is actually making me slower at achieving things, or if I just put too much on. I don't know. So that's it for... So other than the buddy news, we've also been working around the house and getting things done there, and it's been pretty slow because once David's mum and brother decided they weren't coming up because the borders were closed at that stage, we sort of went on a bit of a go slow, but we're hoping to get it all finished soon, because I'm really looking forward to just having no little renovation tasks to do and no little painting projects and whatnot. The other week I painted a cane couch, and it looks all right. I painted it white, but I'm not really that much in love with it, so I'm hoping we'll get another couch instead. And we've been walking Buddy. That's taken up quite a lot of time, but it's been good because we've gone on some like little adventures and seen more of the area that we're living in, because we take him to places that we haven't been to, or that we haven't been to for a while. So yesterday we took him to the beach and he had a great time and played with a stick, and yeah, it was all good fun. And today we took him for a big walk around the neighbourhood, or David took him today because my shoulder is still really sore, and we took him to the pet shop, and yeah, we take him to different places, drives in the car because he likes to, have a sleep in the car. And we've been really enjoying doing that. And I guess the garden has suffered. I sort of go out into the garden, I do a little bit, but then I sort of just find something else to do. Not helped by the fact that it's rained all week, and every time I want to play in the garden, it's just pouring down rain. And so I am going to put some more seeds in the garden, and I think I probably said I was going to do that last time. And then it started raining and I did my shoulder and I just haven't got to it yet. And it's sort of like taken a back seat to having a dog, I guess. But what else have we been doing? I really can't think. I can't think at all. I was going to do a lot of cooking over the weekend and put it away so that we could just have some pre-planned meals. But now with my diverticulitis flare-up, I can't eat most of the stuff I was going to cook. So I'm sort of left with white rice type meals that my doctor has said that I should have. during this time, so I don't know. You don't look forward to it when it's not that appetizing, but I'll probably cook something for David, instead make him some pies or something. I've got a pie maker and I love that thing. I use it all the time. I've actually got 3 and I use one of them all the time and make all different sorts of things. So I'll probably use that and make up some stuff for David to have during the week. And other than that, I don't know that I've really done that much. I haven't bought any colouring supplies. I haven't bought any colouring books. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I have done since we last talked. Isn't that strange? I'm always busy, but I can never remember what I've done. But I can't remember why I go to the kitchen half the time, so I don't know about you guys. But I'd love to know if you're going to be putting any pictures in any of the colour alongs this month. It doesn't have to be mine. I'd love to know if you're taking part in those and what you're doing. And I always like to hear about other people's lives. A lot of people message me or send me cards or mail, and I really like hearing about their lives. Unfortunately, in the last week or so, I've heard some, pretty sad stories about some of people in the colouring community that are really doing it rough at the moment. And you know who you are. You've messaged me, and or I've spoken to you or chatted to you via email, and my heart is with you. I wish there was something that you could do in real life to make things better for the people that you get to know online and that you love just as much as if they were in real life. But other than sending you my love and support and positive vibes and prayers, there's not a lot online that you can do, which is such a shame. But just know that my thoughts and heart is with you. So I think that's it from me. I'll be back later on this month with the rest of this video for the Cinderella page. You thought I was going to do Alice in Wonderland, didn't you? I did too, to be honest. But I seen the Cinderella and I thought, oh no, it has to be Cinders. So I just felt in a Cinders mood. So I think it was for Valentine's Day that I was thinking about it for Cinderella. But Valentine's Day is well and truly past, and I hope you had a good one. And that's it from me. Until next time, stay safe and happy colouring.